Salatu wassalam ala ashrafil mursalin Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Brothers, my sisters in Islam, distinguished members of the press, let me greet you by saying Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is the text of the opinion of the Muslim community following a meeting of all Islamic organizations across the country held this morning. So this is to announce, to report, and to express their opinion at this press conference. And I quote, "The Nigeria Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs, following the expanded General Purpose Committee meeting held earlier today being 9th of November 2025, convenes this press conference on behalf of the Nigerian Muslim Ummah to condemn the recent threat against the sovereignty of our nation, Nigeria. We have not been emphasizing the killings of Muslims, not because we are not aware that Muslims are being killed, but because we did not see it and we do not see what was going on as a religious war, but a national security issue. The world is aware, however, that some Islamophobic and unpatriotic Nigerians had uttered a dangerous script, promoted it in the Western circles, especially in the United States, and got the attention of the highest levels of the United States government, which are erroneously made to believe that there is a Christian genocide in Nigeria. This is very unfortunate. When the United States of America President, Mr. Donald Trump, labeled our country disgraced, every right-thinking Nigerian was concerned because an ally that is determined to help a sovereign country to completely wipe out the Islamic in quotes, terrorists who are committing these horrible atrocities. Such a country that is ready will offer to assist and collaborate with the country and not use such horrible language to describe a country it aims to partner in wiping out the terrorists. While a number of countries, China, Saudi Arabia, and so on, have also been designated countries of particular concern, the present context of what Nigeria will not like suggests that the plan is a pretext to destabilize our dear country, Nigeria. We reaffirm that there is no Christian genocide in Nigeria. Under Article 2 of the 1948 United Nations Convention on the Promotion and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide and Article 6 of the Rome Statute, the crime is defined by a critical mental element known as dolus specialis. This is the specific intent to destroy the whole or parts, to destroy in whole or in part a national, ethnical, racial, or religious group. As such, there is nothing of such in Nigeria. For the avoidance of doubt, what Nigeria faces is a complex and tragic security crisis that brings immeasurable pain to all its citizens, regardless of faith or ethnic persuasion. From Katsina to Borno, and from Benue to Plateau, as well as to Kaduna and Kwara. Nigeria bleeds through gruesome savagery against Muslims and Christians, imams and priests. Non-partisan experts have refuted this blackmail, and Amnesty International, which methodically investigates the insecurity in Nigeria, has stated that there is, I quote, no evidence of a religious motivation, unquote, to characterize it as genocide. According to the director of Amnesty Nigeria program, he said, and I quote, "I don't think President Trump has any facts. I don't think he has had a very good briefing about the nature of this conflict," some unquote. Senior researchers like Samuel Malik of the Pan-African think tank Good Governance in Africa, some researchers, including him, have also stated that there is no credible evidence of a state-led or coordinated campaign to exterminate Christians, which is what genocide is. The genocide claim completely collapses when confronted with reality, context, and verifiable data. The Armed Conflict Location and Event Data Project, ACLED, reports in its reporting of 2022 proves conclusively that the overwhelming driver of violence in Nigeria is not anti-Christian persecution, as Muslims and people of other faiths are also overwhelmingly affected. While President Trump and Senator Cross name radical Islamists and Islamist jihadists as the culprits, ISWAP and Boko Haram, the fact is that these groups are deviants whose ideology declares Muslims who do not join them as dissidents. Muslims are also their victims. As Amnesty International correctly stated, they kill both Muslims and Christians. They demolish mosques and churches. They don't differentiate. These terrorists are not our representative. They are our mortal enemies. The world knows that some of the terrorist groups being paraded as Islamic are creation of some non-Muslim interests. For instance, it is publicly acknowledged, though some people want to whitewash it, that the United States of America created Al-Qaeda, which is being projected as Islamic. Also, recently, a U.S. Congressman, Perry, testified that the United States Agency for International Development was financing the activities of Boko Haram and other terrorist groups in Nigeria and elsewhere. If the violence in some parts of Nigeria is not religious, you can ask me, what are the real drivers? In our own opinion, the first is ecological. As the International Crisis Group has detailed in multiple reports, how relentless desertification and drought, product of climate change, have degraded pastures and dried up water sources in the far northern Sahelian belt. This is not an Islamist invasion. It is a desperate southward migration of others seeking survival. This climate-driven migration forces others into direct and often violent competition with sedentary farming communities over dwindling resources of land and water. Historic grazing reserves have been lost to expanding settlements, and traditional conflict resolution mechanisms have eroded. This is the flashpoint for the farmer-herder crisis in Plateau, Benue, and other Middle Belt states in northern Nigeria. The second driver is criminality, pure criminality. In the northwest, northeast, southeast, and some parts of the southwest, banditry is fueled by the overlapping factors of poverty, mass youth unemployment, drug abuse, porous borders, and the proliferation of small arms and light weapons. Crucially, as researchers have noted, it is also driven by illicit artisanal mining of solid minerals. Criminal syndicates and bandits sack villages and displace population, creating an ungoverned space for their illegal mining operations. This is a violent, organized crime racket for resources, and there is nothing Islamic about it. In Zamfara, Katsina, Sokoto, Aziz, Muslims have lost more than thousands of souls to the same bandits who answer to crime, not tribe or faith. The United States Department itself, in the 2022 report on international religious freedom, stated that, and I quote, banditry and other criminality, not animosity between particular religious groups, were the primary drivers, unquote, of intercommunal violence. This is not a religious war. Then, we cannot gloss over the perennial years of failure of governance, which has enabled violence in Nigeria. Studies have revealed how endemic corruption, lack of accountability for human rights, and failure to provide basic security for citizens over the years have created a vacuum for impunity. When the state fails to protect anyone, criminals and militias thrive. This is a massive state failure that has been on with us for some time. As some have called it, it is not a state-sponsored genocide. Who benefits from the lie? Who benefits from the lie? A pen. There are foreign instigators, especially some American politicians, who seek to energize their domestic evangelical base. We name Senator Cross, who falsely claimed that Nigeria is facilitating the mass murder of Christians. We name Congressman Moore, who pushes widely on verified claim of 500,000 or 100,000 Christians murdered. Their concern is not for Nigerians. Their concern is about votes in Texas and West Virginia. These foreign actors are aided and abetted by domestic instigators who have a clear political, economic, not religious agenda. We must identify a separatist group like Biafra Republic government in exile. Regulatory filings in Washington, D.C. have shown that these individuals are outspending the Nigerian government on lobbyists. And what is their core message, if I may ask? The filings have showed that they are focused on raising the issue of Christian killing on Capitol Hill. This is a political separatist group weaponizing a religious identity to achieve its goals, their goal, which is the balkanization and fragmentation of Nigeria. These lobbyists, who receive millions of dollars, flood Washington with doctored videos and fake statistics. They quote, and I quote, 52,000 Christians killed since 2009, a number, a figure even Open Doors refuses to endorse. There is also, as we have previously stated, a network of Nigerian citizens at home and abroad who have found a big business in self-flagellation. This crisis and entrepreneurs exploit transactions in religious antipathy as easy pathways to global recognition and fame. They fabricate or decontextualize claims of persecution to gain speaking tours, material gains, or preferential asylum status in the West. The media is awash with evidence of some religious leaders and elites who originated the first claim for non-religious purposes. Some of them ignite and pretend to, at the same time, extinguish fire. We have so many of them. Some people in Nigeria, I don't need to name, they are the ones that will ignite the fire, and they will be grandstanding in the media that they are the ones solving the problem in order to gain unnecessary, unwarranted gain from the government. We condemn these individuals engaging in falsehood and acts that verge on treason. This is why the Nigerian Supreme Council is extremely disappointed by the first proclamation of the Christian Association of Nigeria's president, which has now shown clearly that the individuals who are propagating the falsehood were in reality playing the scripts of the Christian Association of Nigeria. We commend, however, the principled stance of some patriotic and responsible Christians who are sincere enough, including the Christian Association of Nigeria Director of National Issues and Social Welfare, who said, and I quote, "Sometimes our situation is being taken advantage of by groups who know what they benefit from foreign interests. Those foreign interests have a right to poke their nose into what is going on in our system. But we also have a right to report things as they are. Also, the spate of killing does not take any pattern. If they open fire in a marketplace, the bullets don't look for a Christian or spare a Muslim or even spare a baby." It goes on. So, all we must be doing now is to adopt an all-of-society action to stop this insurgency and also address issues of groupthink. Why run to America when you have a Senate here where you can file your petition? In the end, when they place Nigeria as a country of particular interest, of particular concern, all of us will suffer. But those who run abroad to look for sympathy know why they do that, unquote. That's a patriotic, sincere statement by a CAN official. For being factual, we also commend individuals like Mr. Falana, SAN, Chief Femi Fani-Kayode, Reno Omokri, and Governor Charles Chukwuma Soludo, among numerous other Christians, for their sincerity. While we denounce irresponsible bigots in religious garbs and ethnic erendists who fail to realize that you don't cut off your nose to spite your face, the citizens that falsely concoct genocide claim, which is capable of igniting divisions and religious war that can turn the country into a battlefield, are neither patriotic nor godly. Countries like Libya, Iraq, Syria are worse off today because bombs don't discriminate destruction. Meanwhile, the U.S. government reimposition of the country of particular concern, CPC designation of Nigeria, is an act of political cynicism. This is the same designation placed on China and Russia. This designation of Nigeria was lifted by the previous U.S. administration in 2023 when the USA acknowledged the complex reality. Its imposition by President Trump is not based on new facts. It is a political tool wielded by lobbyists and it cheapens the very idea of religious freedom. Since independence, we must note, Nigeria has worked within the circle of non-aligned nations, free to choose partners for mutual benefits. As such, Nigeria has always extended a welcome to all, to China as to Africa broader family. We have many opportunities to harness from diplomatic diversification, with each relationship molding a building block in our development projects, or offering a pathway towards our national interests. It is quite troubling to note that our progressive relationship with China, our economic recovery of the present administration, and the increase in our domestic oil refining capacities, which has reduced importation of fuel to the barest minimum, have suddenly attracted this unsavory development. So, there is a clear picture, ladies and gentlemen. Some U.S. politicians seeking domestic votes, U.S. evangelical groups pushing an ideological agenda, Nigerian separatists pushing for fragmentation, and domestic profiteers seeking personal gain are behind this rattling. This is not a human rights campaign. It is a coordinated information operation. To further buttress this point, we must ask this most important question: why now? Why this sudden intense focus on Nigeria? The answer lies in geopolitics. This campaign escalated immediately after Nigeria, at the 88th session of the UN General Assembly, reaffirmed its principled position and consistent support for a two-state solution and for the solidarity of the Palestinian people. It is important to note that this narrative of genocide is being driven also by far-right and pro-Israel actors. The goal is to create a distraction, a cynical, despicable whataboutism designed to deflect from the actual genocide being perpetrated in Gaza. They seek to create a false moral equivalence, screaming about an imaginary Christian genocide by Muslims in Nigeria in order to drown out the worst condemnation of a real documented genocide of Muslims in the Palestine. Notwithstanding the fact that there are over 1,000 Christians in Gaza alone, yet the United States continues to support the globally condemned genocide against the Palestinians. The same USA that is currently planning to invade Venezuela, a country with Christians, where Christians constitute 80% of its population, has suddenly become the messiah of the Nigerian Christians. Stoking religious division is the fastest and most effective way to destabilize a multi-ethnic, multi-religious nation of over 220 million people like Nigeria. They are using these tools of foreign manipulation to fragment Nigeria from within, setting the stage for our collapse, just as it's been planned for South Africa. This agenda is not hidden. We refer to a recent op-ed from the American Enterprises Institute, AEI, a prominent U.S. foreign policy think tank. In this article, the author, Michael Robin, asked two questions in the same breath. First, he said, and I quote, "Is there a Christian genocide?" And second, I quote, just as in Somaliland's independence has become a U.S. national interest, would Biafran independence also augment regional security?" Unquote. The geopolitical objective is the fragmentation of Nigeria to achieve the avowed mission of the separatists in line with the IPOB agenda. While the Nigerian Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs stands for and promotes equity and fairness, let nobody, either in Nigeria or anywhere, be under illusion that Muslims will allow themselves to be further decimated and further underrepresented through a subterfuge aimed at further increasing the Christian representation in federal government appointment from the publicly acknowledged 62% or heads of armed and security forces already predominantly Christian, and where Islamophobic policies such as recently enacted by the National Insurance Commission (NICOM) will be the norm. We will not sit down and allow that to happen. We turn, however, to our genuine Christian brothers and sisters. We tell them, you are not our enemies. You are our compatriots, colleagues, and neighbors. We are both, Muslims and Christians, victims of a perennial failed security architecture and a brutal criminal insurgency that targets us all. We have never denied our collective pain. Do not let foreign political gladiators or domestic separatists use our real pain to destroy our shared home. We are both, as President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has rightly said, committed to a Nigeria where, and I quote him, religious freedom and tolerance are the, as I quote, core tenets of our collective identity, unquote. We as Muslims stand with you, Christians, against all violence, against all criminality, and against all terror. We affirm that in Nigeria, there is no Christian genocide. There is no Muslim genocide. There is no religious intolerance in Nigeria. The Nigerian tragedy is that of poverty, climate change, bad governance over time, and armed criminals who kill indiscriminately, while a section of the world seeks to exploit the situation for geopolitical profit. We call on the international community and the press gathered here to reject this false, dangerous, and destabilizing narrative. We call on the Nigerian government to redouble its efforts to protect all its citizens, regardless of faith, destroy the bandits and terrorists, expose and hold the domestic instigators of this divisive lie accountable, and shame the foreign lobbyists against Nigeria. We commend the resolve of the government to, with dignity and honor, engage the USA and the rest of the international community on how to eliminate terrorism and banditry in Nigeria and indeed in the whole sub-region. We urge President Trump of United States of America to retract branding Nigeria as a disgraced country. We are not disgraced. And rather assist Nigeria with credible intelligence, critical logistics, and human capacity development to enable the country overcome insecurity in different parts of Nigeria. Genuine assistance requires partnership, not unilateral actions, which might, even if it is not intended, even if inadvertent, fragment the Nigerian nation. And we state to the world in clear time, as members of the Muslim Ummah, as a united Nigerian Muslim Ummah, we will not be defined by this lie, and we will not accept that our country be fragmented by a foreign agenda. As a people of faith, we believe that the truth will prevail and our unity as a nation will endure. Thank you, and may God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.